if you're trying to use LinkedIn to go and get you leads and sales calls booked into your calendar, and you haven't used LinkedIn automation tools, or you've tried using LinkedIn automation tools and it didn't work, I'm going to explain to you how you can very easily set this up for yourself so you can have LinkedIn messages sending in the back end and it will consistently book meetings for you. I've tested this across multiple different industries, B2B services, agencies, coaches, consultants, and my own business, and it consistently books 3 to 5 meetings on that weekly basis. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you beginner level outreach, intermediate level outreach, and advanced level outreach. So follow along and we'll get stuck into it. So to build a LinkedIn outreach system that's automated, that actually books in meetings, there's different ways to actually go and do it. It depends if you want to be very quick, short, sharp, and easy, or you actually want to spend a bit of time and do a very targeted lead list, or you want to actually go and do advanced outreach where you're using external tools. But what I'm going to walk you through is essentially how not to piss someone off when you're doing outreach, and how not to sound like a robot, how not to actually make it look like someone has just been sent an automated message. So essentially, a lot of beginners will do outreach and they'll annoy the prospects, because essentially what you're doing is you've got your LinkedIn profile, you're about to send someone messages, so you go and create a sort of a basic lead list, so it's not very targeted to your ideal customer profile, and then you end up praying, and then it just looks so spammy, it just looks like you're a robot. So then you do the LinkedIn outreach and you will get meetings booked in, but you're going to struggle, you're not going to get that consistency, and you're going to annoy a lot of people. And the intermediate way of doing outreach is you've got your LinkedIn profile, you would use a tool like LinkedIn Sales Navigator to then go and create a highly targeted list. And I've got another video on actually going through how you can go and create a LinkedIn Sales Navigator list. And then you plug that into the tool like Prosp, which is what I'm going to show you in a second. But that is how you're going to be able to write targeted messaging. So you're actually going to be reaching out to people who you know exactly what their job title is, how many years of experience that they've got, you know, what location they're in, how senior they are, can they actually make a decision, are they in that decision-making authority position? So then that message should resonate with reaching out to these people. Then you actually go and do your LinkedIn outreach, and then you can actually go and follow up with them. So a lot of people, when they do beginner outreach, they might send, you know, one message and then they just never follow up with them. But in most cases, in my experience, you need at least 1 or 2 follow-ups to actually go and get that meeting booked in. And then the advanced outreach, which is what I do for my clients, is essentially we use the LinkedIn profile, we create an advanced lead list. So we spend a lot of time actually going creating a lead list. You might go and create a lead list on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. We sometimes use NA10 to go and find those buying signals. So for example, if a bunch of different companies are hiring for a sales associate, then we could then go and reach out to them and say, hey, I saw that you're hiring for a sales associate role, and then offer your product or service. So that's just like a different example of a buying signal. We might use Clay, so you actually have a really enriched lead list, so then you know exactly who you're targeting. And then you can go and create your messaging. Then you do LinkedIn outreach. You would have a series of follow-ups. And then if they don't respond at this point, that's when you have a system to go and make sure you reach out to them on email, and then you follow up with them on email and then book a call. So sometimes you may even book a call from here. Sometimes it may take you 1, 2, or 3 follow-ups to book a call, but not everyone is actually active on LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that you're following up with them on email to then go and book a meeting. But I'm going to be explaining to you how you can go and use intermediate outreach. So basically just use LinkedIn. So if we just go straight over to Prosp here, I use Prosp. I've just been using it recently. I've used a bunch of different LinkedIn automation tools. You've got Expandy. There's loads of different tools. I'm not going to go through it now. There is a link in the description for Prosp if you want to check it out. But what you would do is go over and create a campaign. So I'm just going to call this Sydney Real Estate Agents, and then create that campaign. Now, you're going to need a lead list to actually go and reach out to all these people. So for example, I'm just using Sydney Real Estate Agents. Now, you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is what I generally use. You can import your own CSV file. There's a bunch of different things that you can do, but generally you're going to be wanting to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So all you want to do, go over to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And I've done more in-depth videos in terms of how you can actually go and create a lead list of people. But this is where you would go through and filter who exactly that you want. So for example, I've selected the industry as real estate. There's a bunch of different industries in here you can include. And then I've done the geography as Sydney. So again, you can put as many locations as you want, but we just want Sydney. And then We only want to target people in the senior position, so directors, owner, partners, and then you might even just do like people who are in the senior position as well. So then you've got that list. I'm just going to keep it quite narrow, so I just want those people. And then the company headcount would be company size 1 to 10. You can obviously flex this up and down to however you see fit. You can even have a look at people's years of experience. So if you want to make sure you don't want to reach out to people who have got less than 1 year experience, you would just select all of these. So then you're not talking to those people who are just pretty new within the role, just to give yourself some reassurance, even if someone LinkedIn has not tagged it correctly with the seniority role. So here there's 374 results. So all these people you could manually go and connect with, you could manually go and message them, you could manually go and follow up with them, and then you could manually even go and send them an email. But what Prosp is going to enable you to do is, you've got this lead list now, you've created the search string. Now you copy that full URL, just go straight over to Prosp, click on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Obviously there's loads of tutorials on how to go and do this. Select the user, so that's me, create the new lead list. So I'm just going to do Sydney real estate agents, click continue. Now it's just added all of those leads into there, and now this is where you're going to start actually building out your campaign. So this is your campaign builder. You just come into this section here, and this is very similar to any other sort of LinkedIn messaging tool that you're going to use, but generally what you're going to be doing is starting with an action or a condition. So you're going to probably start with a LinkedIn connection. So you want to send someone a connection request, and then you can initiate the conversation and actually try and get them to reply, and then ultimately get them booked in for a call. So you can go and send them a message here and say blah, 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 blah in the LinkedIn connection request, but just trust me, leave this blank. There's loads of analysis on actually leaving it blank usually gets the most amount of connections. So if you just click cancel there, and then you're going to send them another action. So you can do a bunch of different things, but what generally works in my experience is you want to have a couple of touch points with that person before you even send them a message. So with tools like Prosp or Expandy or any other tools, you can go and like their last LinkedIn post, save that action, add another one, go and visit their LinkedIn profile, save that action. So you can see you've sent them a connection request, you haven't even said anything at this point, and then you're starting to engage with their profile. So if they're actually seeing these notifications, when you do message them, then they're probably more likely to be like, okay, well, this guy's actually been engaging with me over the past couple of days. Let me go and see what he has to say. Now, with Prosp, you can do a bunch of different things. You can send people voice notes that you've pre-recorded. You can go and send them messages. You can go and send them emails. Generally, I just stay away from emails. They don't really work or don't really do anything. You can reply with an AI comment, but just at this point, at this stage, they sound really robotic, and you can just tell that you're a bot when someone's actually doing a LinkedIn automated AI comment at this stage. So I would just go and leave this. I wouldn't even bother with doing a reply to comment. What I'd be doing here is you can start the conversation with sending a voice note or sending a message. But what we typically like to do is just send that first message and just say, good to connect. And then you can customize this. So all this information can be customized and be put into the actual message. So good to connect first name, and I'll show you what that actually looks like in the LinkedIn message. So if I just go and preview that, it's going to pull Rebecca's first name. So you can see good to connect Rebecca, perfect. So that's obviously going to change for each individual person, and then you would go and save that. But the beauty about Prosp here is you can go and send someone a LinkedIn voice note. So you've quickly introduced yourself and you've said good to connect. They may respond at this point. If someone does respond from a sequence, they get taken out of the sequence and nothing will happen. So at this point, if you say good to connect, you might want to send a tactical voice note straight away afterwards. So you can do a pre-recorded voice note here. And then you obviously can't say someone's first name unless you use the voice cloner, but we won't get into that on this video. And what you want to do is just explain, hey, the reason why I was reaching out is X, Y, and Z. I've got a couple of ideas. Let me know if you're interested. So you would just record that voice note, click submit, click save, and then you're on to the next one. So you can see we've not really said anything at this point, and you don't want to be sending a 3-minute long pitch. You just want to very quickly introduce why you're reaching out and who you are and what your name is, and then maybe something to pique curiosity to actually go and get a response. I'm not going to go through all of those examples. There's hundreds of thousands of ways that you can go and build this campaign. I'm just going to quickly show you what to do. So the whole goal is you don't want to be pissing people off. So you don't want to just be sending them like multiple messages in the same day. You want to have a wait here. So you might have a wait here for 1 day. So if I just do 2 days and then that's done. So we won't send them another message until 2 days. Now, what I might want to do again is go and visit their profile, click save. So then if they may see that voice note and then I go and visit their profile. So then they're still getting notifications potentially if LinkedIn decide to give that person the notification. And then you might want to send a LinkedIn message and say, hey, just checking you saw the voice note above. Click save. And then you might want to do one more follow-up, and then you would do just a normal LinkedIn message and say, no worries if this isn't of interest. Let me know if you'd like to talk. This is obviously terrible copywriting. I wouldn't be launching that campaign. Can't even spell worries, but there we go. So you can see this is now getting stacked out. So we're basically gone with, we're starting the campaign with 150 contacts. We're sending them LinkedIn connection requests. We're liking the post. We've viewed the profile. We sent them a message, sent them a voice note, waiting a couple of days, visit their profile, send them a message, send them another message. So imagine if you had to actually go and do this manually. You would have to go and manually connect with people. You can only send around 20 connections per day to people, depending on what sort of plan you're on, if you're on the paid or the free plan. Then you would have to go and manually go and like their posts, view their profile, send them a message, manually go and send everyone voice messages. Remember to say, okay, after a couple of days, I'm going to engage with their profile again, visit their profile, send them another message, send them another message. This is just one example. You can create multiple different versions of this. So now you can actually start to see when you've actually launched this campaign, how many LinkedIn requests have you sent, how many conversations have you had, replies, likes, accepted invites, whatever you want to look at. And then in the settings, you can basically put it on a schedule. So if you don't want to reach out to people on a Sunday or a Saturday, so if you just want to reach out to people from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. on a Monday, and then you would just do that for every single one, save that schedule, and then when you're ready to launch this, you would just click run it, and what it will start to do slowly is actually reach out to all of these people. But what you do want to be careful with as well is making sure that you've got your limits set correctly, so you're not sending 50 messages per day, 50 contact requests per day. You're going to get flagged by LinkedIn, and they don't like it when you start spamming people and sending loads of messages. Save that frequency and then just click run it, and then it will start to run your campaign. And then now what you've got is a unified inbox. So you've got all of these contacts. So whenever they reply, this is syncing over to your actual LinkedIn inbox. So then you can actually just go and reply to people really quickly from here. You can go and send them a voice note, whatever it may be. So then you just type that and then send it in. So it's easy to manage. If you've ever looked at the LinkedIn inbox, it's an absolute shambles. So this is just a nice, easy way to just go and look at it. Now going back over to the advanced outreach, so I just sort of went through very quickly how you do an intermediate outreach. Obviously there's a lot more time to be spent on this, and the main point here is actually making sure that lead list is correct, and then you want to spend a lot of time on the messaging and actually building out that campaign so you're not annoying people and it's actually a relevant message, so you're reaching out to them for a purpose. And then the advanced forms of outreach here, so at the stage where they haven't replied on LinkedIn, some people are just really not active. And this is where we have a system for our clients where we know if they've not responded on LinkedIn, you can actually go and follow up with them via email, and you can have a series of emails. And the goal here is to basically say, I understand that you're not active on LinkedIn so much, but the reason why I was reaching out is X, Y, and Z. And we pick up loads of meetings just from sending people emails straight after we've sent them maybe a week's worth of LinkedIn messages. Again, really not trying to piss people off. What we're trying to do is just follow up and say, hey, this is the reason why I was reaching out. I thought you'd be interested in it. So this method here books in 3 to 5 meetings easily on a weekly basis across all of my clients, and that's at the very low end. Sometimes my clients are in 2-3 meetings per day, depending on what sort of niche and industry they're in. And you don't just have to use this for direct sales as well. So you don't just have to reach out to people to go and pitch them. You could reach out to people just to grow you and expand your network, just to see if they would like to partner up with you as a referral partner. That's another way of getting leads. You could reach out to people to go and get them signed up for a webinar. You could reach out to people to go and get them on a podcast. Whatever you want to do, this can be used. You just need to know how to set it up and what the psychology is to actually go and get those responses booked in from people. So if you want some help generating leads and maybe you want something set up like this for your business, click that link in the description and you can get in touch with me. Peace.